Hey all, and thank you for joining us for the Sage Intacct demo hosted by Vision 33. For those of you who are familiar with me, my name is Michael Toporek. I'm your Sage Intacct sales consultant here at Vision 33. Typically, we have Matthew Frampton who conducts this session, but today we have Mike Chong. Agenda for this afternoon, just a quick overview, 5 minutes from me, and then I am going to hand it over to Mike. It's going to be 40 minutes from him, and I am going to save some time at the end for your questions. Before we move to the demonstration, I did want to share a little bit of information about Vision 33. Of course, selecting the right software is important, but the right partner is the difference maker for your business. So I am sure you have done your research on Sage Intacct and know it is a great product. Here at Vision, we absolutely agree, but Sage Intacct without Vision 33 is just not the same. Vision is the key to unlocking the true value of Sage Intacct. And some of the things that we bring to the table is extensive support, industry experience, long-term partnerships, and we do focus on service excellence. We have many long-time customers who rely on our partnership to support their business and keep them going day by day. Ultimately, it's our consistency, reliability, and focus on excellent customer experiences to help you get the results that you need. And when we talk about results, we're driven by your outcomes. So our team is focused on understanding your organizational goals and implementing the strong financial core, which is going to be Sage Intacct. Now, many good partners, they stop there. At Vision 33, we're going to go the extra mile with you. This is through our skilled consultants, industry knowledge, and our focus on the right analytics and intelligent automation and integrations so you can effectively run with your preferred tools in a seamless best of breed environment, and more to come on that phrase in a bit. But here are some of our customers running Sage Intacct. They come from all over the spectrum, non-for-profit, SaaS and tech, professional services, education, healthcare, franchising, energy, you name it. Why they chose Vision 33? We help them realize their vision for the future. Again, most of you have done your initial research on Sage Intacct, but I did want to highlight a few items. Global reach, top company, recognized as a brand and a market leader. Sage Intacct is the ideal solution for growing businesses. So Intacct is an all-around native cloud-based platform. Intacct has built-in solutions tailored specifically for your industry. So really view this slide as an introduction of what you're going to be seeing in the demonstration today in detail. And now you're going to be hearing two terms tossed around often. That's best in class and best of breed. What that means is we recognize that we are the best core financial and accounting solution, but there are other software that are the best at what they do. So we allow a seamless integration with mission critical applications, for example, Salesforce ADP. This is referred to as best in class. We encourage you to use the best solutions available to you. Now, this is the opposite approach from other vendors in the marketplace who believe they have all of the best solutions under one umbrella for your organization, which is just likely untrue. So Sage has a full marketplace filled with pre-built integrations and connectors. And this gives you the capability of automating your workflows and eliminating a lot of the error-prone processes that may exist at your organization. These are some of the key verticals for Sage Intacct globally. We operate in all of these. Our biggest footprint is the non-for-profit space, where we have approximately 40% of our customer base that runs Intacct. Our expertise in these verticals really help us to guide our customers down the right path with their implementation, including various implementation types based on your needs. And with our vertical expertise, we are able to offer quick start and rapid implementations with pre-built reports and dashboards for your industry and sector, because we have seen it all. Global reach, local focus. This applies to Sage and Vision 33. We are one of the only global Sage partners operating out of the US, the UK, and Canada. For those of you who are interested in the underlying numbers, Sage Intacct is as secure as it gets. You no longer need to worry about backups, downtime, costly upgrades. It just works all the time. It runs on AWS servers and it's encrypted at the highest level. Saltbox is Vision 33's born in the cloud IPaaS integration platform as a service solution. So our Saltbox platform simplifies integrations and workflows with your current applications and business processes, enabling you to do more with Sage Intacct. So this is how you can fully leverage the power of the best of breed model for your organization. If there is ever any integration that you may want established that does not exist on the Sage marketplace, we can build it for you via Saltbox. And now I'm going to kick it over to Mike, and he's going to walk us through our demonstration today.
Hi guys, my name is Mike Chong. I'm an implementation consultant at Vision 33. Before we jump into the actual functionality of Sage Intacct, as Michael had mentioned, this is a native cloud environment, meaning that you can access your database, your company anywhere at any time. So if you're traveling and you're at the airport and you need to look at a report, or if you're at Starbucks and you need to do some work, as long as you have access to the internet, you can log in and look at your reports as needed. You're no longer restricted on a device that has a program installed on it. There's no more servers, server maintenance, server security costs. All those are going to go away. And again, just to reiterate, everything is safe with Sage's data centers through AWS and Microsoft, as Michael had mentioned. Next would be the updates on the solution on Sage Intacct. I know that with on-prem solutions, when updates are released, part of the responsibilities could be passed on to you to update. So some people will do it themselves. Some people will hire external consultants to do the install the updates, and some people will choose not to update it and just keep the current system that they have. With Intacct, that also goes away. Intacct has automatic quarterly updates 4 times a year, and those updates are fixed. So there's a schedule that they always give us, and it'll also tell us what updates are being released based on the region. So in Australia, Canada, France, Germany, South Africa, the UK, and the US. There's also a highlight video that's usually between 10 to 15 minutes long that you can watch. You can also filter to the pertaining region that you're in and see what release notes or what upgrades have been released in your region. So what's required? We don't do anything. It's all done on the back end. So on Friday, if you log out on a Friday and come back on a Monday, those updates are going to be done for you automatically. You might not notice any changes because each module, it's a modular software. So if you're assigned to a specific module for AP, for example, if there's upgrades in AR, then you wouldn't even notice it. So and the updates are very much to help improve with functionality. Of course, sometimes there's some bells and whistles added towards it, but a lot of it is to improve the system, the software, and how it runs. And of course, there's also an AI component that's tagged to that, which I'll mention a little bit more later on. When the updates are done, it'll never impact your day-to-day processes. It's always done offline. So even if you're working on a weekend, it's not going to prevent you from posting a bill or posting a check, issuing checks or entering journal entries. You're still going to be able to do that. When the releases do come out, sometimes there will be small bugs that will occur, but again, it won't prevent you from doing your day-to-day, and it'll usually be fixed within the week. So furthermore, let's talk about what makes Intacct different from other softwares. So where Intacct outshines other competition is with its financial capabilities, not just the financial reports that you can build. Sure, other systems can build similar reports, but it's the ease of building the reports if your system is set up correctly, and the ease of isolating the data that you need in order to drive your decision makings within your organization. And the dimensions is what's the backbone of Intacct. So if I look at our dimensions that we have out of the box are the classes, departments, employees, locations. We also have items. And you can think of these as, I guess, your traditional segments from your GL accounts. And don't get married to the naming conventions of the departments, employees, locations. We can always revise and change the term. So departments we can change to divisions, employees we can say their clients, classes. They can be any type of term that that is required within your organization. We can rename those terms. And out of the box, we have the company, we have dashboards, reports, cash management, the GL, AP, AR, and then purchasing is an extension of accounts payable, and order entry is an extension of accounts receivable. So if we look at dimensions, what this allows us to do is it allows us to minimize our chart of account links. So I've had some implementations where our customer came into the project with 800 different GL accounts because they had different departments per se. If I was to process a bill, and let me show you how easy this can be here. So if we add a bill, we'll just select our vendor, enter the bill number. We can set our terms, our due dates. The currency is USD for this particular vendor. And the account that already pops up is because we've pre-mapped the GL account to this vendor. So if we can put it in a memo, and instead of having multiple GL accounts, if we stay with a nominal GL account, we can say, okay, this payroll taxes belongs to the administration. Or if it belongs to a project, we can also select a project and we put in the transaction amount. And on line 2, if we have another line, we can say this amount is for 300, but this belongs to sales, for example, and maybe it belongs to the same project, right? So what this does is when we do our reporting, we have the ability to slice and dice, meaning if we wanted to look at what our P&L was for department 200, then this $400 would show up for department 200. If we were to change this to sales and we wanted to do a P&L based on department 200 services, then it would only show the 100. Or if we were to report on to the sales department, it would show the 300 and not the full amount of this bill here. This also helps to eliminate the number of errors, having the ability to minimize the number of GL accounts that we have here. And it looks a lot cleaner, greater flexibility. And if we just run a GL report here, let me just show you an example. If I go to reports, financial reports, let's do a filter. And these reports here are all out of the box. If we look at P&L summary, for example, and this is a demo environment, so there's a lot of data that's housed in the calendar year 2019. So I'm just going to use that as the default in this demo company. So if I click OK, so this is a P&L for December 31st, 2019, but it also shows the prior period as well as the difference and also the year-to-date P&L. And you can see it also has some color indicators that you can put onto the report. These revenue subscription services, revenue other, these are categories that we've tagged to the GL accounts. So right now, because we've selected a summary, it's only showing the category itself. But if we ever wanted to see, oh, what's in the revenue subscription, we can click this triangle and it'll drop down and show all the GL accounts that's within this category. So we have OE subscriptions, contract subscription build, and some contract usage build. The also nice feature with this is we can also drill down on these reporting numbers. So it'll open up a window, and if we expand this, it'll show us all the detail for this, all the transactions that happened in this reporting period. And we can also continue to drill down on the numbers, and it'll bring us to the source entry here, right? So really nice feature to have, and we can close it and come back to our original reporting window. if we wanted to see, okay, so this has all included all our dimensions, so our departments, our classes, locations, employees. What if we wanted to see a P&L based on a department? So what we can do is if we go back to our P&L, there's an out of the box report year to date by department. So if we were to click this, and again, we'll use December 31st, click OK. So now you can see the different departments that shows up. So any entries that we've made and we've tagged a department, now it's split it up for us. So we have admin, IT, marketing, sales, services, and any entries that weren't tagged, that'll also display on the second and last column on the right. And if these were mistakes, you can always go back to the entry, retag it so that if it does belong to that specific department, you can do so. And it also rolls everything up and shows you all departments year to date. So if you look, the 472 plus the 8,000 would equals the 480. And again, it also has the drillable capabilities of further details. Just loading here. So really, you can think of the dimensions as buckets of reporting. So rather than having numerous GL accounts, you have the ability to take advantage and use the different dimensions that are available to us here. So as I said, every system will have types of reporting, but what I think stands out in Intact is the ease of being able to create a report. So let me just demonstrate that. So if we go back to a report, and we were to look at the P&L again. So if we look at the summary as an example, we just looked at this earlier. So this shows us the month end for December 2019, November. If we wanted to add another column, what we can do is I'll just edit this report, go to my columns, and what I'll do is I'll add a column to the right and say, I want to report, I want to expand a dimension. Maybe I want to expand by departments. And if I set that, we can also preview it before we save it. So what would this look like? And we do a preview live report of that. So after each of these columns, now it breaks up the departments for us here, right? So that's how easy it is to build a report. If you wanted to see a specific department and not all departments, you can also set a filter. You can set a filter as a prompt. If you wanted to see a specific department, you would set that as a prompt. And I'm just going to cancel out of here. And if we were to run this summary report again, and of course I didn't save it, so it won't show the expanded department reporting. But here we can select what is the P&L report for sales. If I click OK, this would be the P&L for sales, right? So it has our December, November from the prior month, and then the difference and the year to date. You can also group different departments. So here we've created a group called 100, 300. So this is basically combining all the numbers in the sales and the administration department, right? So if I selected that and clicked OK, this would be a P&L for those two departments here. And so you're not just married to just looking at individuals. You can create different groups. So like BC camps, marketing, you can include any type of department combination you like. That's also the same for classes. You can have different report on one specific class, or you can create a group that includes specific classes to report on. We can also report on employee as well as projects. So a lot of quite easy to be able to create these reports here. Close the reports. So an extension of the accounts payable is purchasing. So in purchasing here, if we do an overview, as companies get bigger, some companies might want to have more control on their spendings. And there we go. So this is kind of an overview and a purchasing workflow. So we can go into the system and have a purchase requisition. And here you'll see that there's three different types of purchase requisitions. There's a purchase requisition, there's a quote, and there's travel authorization. So a reason why there might be different kinds of requisitions in this category is if we want to set different approval processes within the software. So for example, if someone was to create a purchase requisition and any requisitions need to be approved by, for example, maybe a department manager, we can set that up. Whereas if we're wanting to make a travel authorization requisition, any requisitions for a travel authorization could be routed to your department manager or a specific user in the system. So you can have different approval policies based on the different workflow that you create and you set. If you don't want to use requisitions, we don't have to have it. We can also start from a purchase order. And here again, we have different types of purchase orders based on the approval workflows that we want. And we have the ability to customize that just like the purchase requisitions. And then because in this demo, there's some inventory, we can set up receipt of a shipment for inventory related purchase orders. Or if our company has no inventory, we can take this out of the workflow and we can have a requisition to a PO straight to an invoice or a PO to an invoice and so forth. So very easy to manipulate and customize the workflow that best works for your company. And just to furthermore demonstrate and show you the different types of approval policies, if we look at the purchase requisition here, I'm just going to go here, purchasing. And the purchase requisition. So here there's four types of approval policies. There's the transactional department. So once that department manager does the first approval, then it goes to the project manager. After that, it goes to Emma. And then after Emma approves it, it goes to the employee manager. So this is probably overkill, but if you need something as complicated as this, detailed as this, you have that ability to do that. There's also other types of approval. So we have a value approval progressive, a value approval department, transaction department, user level, user group level. We can set different parameters on how we want to set this. So for example, this value approval, we can set a dollar amount. So if we can set a dollar amount, we can have different levels. So level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and we can assign different values. So level 1, someone has the ability to approve up to 49,000 or 24,999.99. And then the next level starts at 25, 50, 100,000. And so what happens is if a bill is for 100,000, then that bill would jump up to the level 4 approval. It would skip level 1, 2, and 3. Whereas if we were to choose the value approval progressive, what this would do is for the $100,000 invoice, it would go through each of the levels 1, 2, 3, 4. So each level would have to approve before it progresses to the next level for approval. So a lot of different ways that we can set the approvals up for the different types of purchasing workflows that you would need. If we don't need purchase approvals, we can always just come into the accounts payable and post the bill as needed. We can also set an approval policy in AP, but within AP, you only have the ability to set one approval policy, and that would that would affect anything that's in the AP module. Whereas purchasing, you have the flexibility to have different approval policies here. In AP, we also have the ability to generate payment files, so like ACH files in the US, bank files in Canada. So any banking information that we have for the vendors, we can set that up so that when we pay them, the system will recognize which vendors have banking information, and with those that have the banking information, when we can generate a file and we can upload it to the bank, and the bank will do the payment for us. We can print checks. We can export 1099 files as well. There's also the vendor aging, and with the vendor aging report, we can set it. We can have the traditional agings current to 0, 1 to 30, 31, 60, 61, 90, 91 plus. We can also create different aging reports if we want. If we wanted to custom like 0 to 1 to 15, 15 to 30, 30 to 45, and so forth. You have the ability to create those different aging periods, and you can have it based on the bill date, due date, GL posting date, and so forth. Actually, one other report that I wanted to show you, the GL report. So if we look at a GL report, we have the ability to put a start and end date. So if I do January 1st, 2019 to March 31st, 2019, we can select a range of accounts if we wanted to. So if we wanted just to see all our expense accounts here, we also have different filters. So if we just left everything as is, and so location. So in this demo environment, we actually have numerous entities. So I'm just going to choose one entity for now, and we can show different dimension filters here. So if we wanted, right now it has department name, class, customer, vendor name, project. If we just left it at that and we want to show details, maybe by the bill, if we click view here, so here for this GL 60100 salary and wages, it shows all each transaction, and if it was tagged to a dimension, so here in the department column, you'll see some sales, services, admin, marketing. This all shows up to as a total. But if we wanted to see, okay, what does that look like if we were to filter it by a department? So if we were to filter it by the admin and click view, this would filter all the transactions that pertain to the administration, right? So again, we have the ability to drill down on the details, and this would take us to the source journal entry here in this instance here. Okay. And of course, if you needed to email this to anyone, you can just email it straight from Intacct. Or if you wanted to add to a dashboard or export it to Excel, CSV, or text, you also have the ability to do that as well. So on the flip side, with order entry, it's basically the same as purchasing, where you can create different workflows. So you can have sales quotes, sales orders, sales invoices, and sales returns, right? And within each type of transactions, you can have different transaction definitions where the workflows are all different. And with the nice feature with order entry and AR is when we generate invoices with the system, we do have the ability to email invoices. So if we went to email invoices per se, you can put who the sender email comes from. And right now this is defaulted to my settings. I don't know what's been emailed, so I'm just going to select this previously sent filter. And I'll just put a start date of January 1st, 2019. to December 31st, 2019 here. And if we click view, it'll show all the invoices that can be or need to be emailed. So if the customer has an email address already in their profile, it'll populate automatically for us. So if we have two emails, it'll show the second email here. So if it's blank, that means the customer doesn't have an email populated in the customer profile, but that can be easily changed. If you wanted to preview what that invoice looked like, you can click preview and it'll show you the invoice here. Okay. Nice thing with emailing invoices within Intacct is that Intacct will tell you if the email was successful to in sending that email to the client. So there's email delivery logs here, and it'll have a pass or fail, or if it's or not pass, sorry, a success, or if there's an error here. So here there's an error, so it didn't go out, right? So you can tell if something had gone out to the client and what hasn't. So you have that audit trail. Just to expand on the audit trails, if we have approval processes in place, we can take a look at the audit history. So for example, if I wanted to look at this purchase order for American Express, under the more actions, if I click on view audit trail, this will tell me who created this purchase order and what happened within this document here. There's also in the history, we can also see the approval history. So if we click on the approval history for this PO, we can see that this specific workflow only has the value approval progressive, and it was approved by this person on this date and so forth. So very handy if you have approval processes in place, do you have the ability to view those approval processes. Just to add on the purchasing, the PO here, you'll see that there's different states. So for example, this pending purchase order, it just means that it's in the purchase order state. It hasn't been converted, but we have the ability to convert it to a fulfillment or a vendor invoice. Converted means that it's already been converted to an invoice or fulfillment. If it's declined, that means someone has declined this purchase order. And if you have if a purchase order has been submitted for approval, then you would have a submitted state in here, but it doesn't look like there is one in the state here, which is fine. So you have the ability and the visibility to see where any particular document is. Just to extend on the reports, we have what's called dashboards. So dashboards, we can create any type of dashboard. So here we have AP manager, AR manager, CFO in this demo environment. And so we can assign a specific dashboard to the AP manager or a CFO. So if we click into one, all these dashboards are or performance cards. These are all directly related to the financial reports. So this company performance here, you can see that our green line is our revenue, blue is our total costs, and you can guess that this yellow is our net income here. And if you wanted to see details for a specific period, so if we wanted to look at June 30th, 2019, the net income, we can click on that chart and the window will pop up and bring us to this report, right? And it'll give us the details on each of the GL accounts and the amounts. And if you wanted to click to see the detail on the amounts, again, you have the drill down capabilities to go to the transaction level And then if you click on the transaction level, it'll bring you to the source level here. So really nice feature in Intacct for this. We also have some performance cards here. So here we have like a revenue services for this month, and this is based on December 31st, 2019. You can also set a percent, how much percent to budget. So with the happy face, that means you're doing quite well. If you're here, your direct labor costs have gone up, or sorry, have gone up 15% from the prior month. So it's a red because it's dropping your profit margins. And you can also have a performance card on operating expenses, operating margin, chargeability, total revenue. All these, you can also have all these different charts, direct and indirect labor, operating expenses by department. This is all derived from the financial reports. So very powerful. You can assign these to specific users as well. So when you log into Intacct, if the dashboard is something you want to see as your homepage, we can set that as your homepage there. So aside from the core modules, we also have additional modules called projects. If your company is project based, we that's a very useful module. Expenses, if you want to track employee expenses, there's a separate module for that. If you have inventory, we can keep track of your inventory. If you have taxes, contracts, budgets. Actually, so budgets is actually part of the core modules. There's another budget program module called budget and planning. That's a separate module from this one, and it's an add-on. And there's also, if you want to keep track of staff timesheets, that's also an extra module. So depending on what your company needs, we have the ability to add on or subtract what we need and what we don't need. There's also a fixed asset module that I don't see in here, but that's also an extra module if you have lots of fixed assets in your company. As mentioned before, this demo company here has several entities. So here we have the Australia company, Canada company, South Africa, US, one US company, two holdings, and the UK company. And you can see that each company has a different reporting base currency, right? So in Intacct, if we're working in specific entities, we can work in those currencies, but we also have an added module called consolidations. And what this does is we can consolidate all the entities, or if we wanted to choose specific entities that we wanted to consolidate, we can do so, and we can say what currency we want to consolidate companies in. So this is really neat because it doesn't require you to go into Excel and do the consolidations on there. You can just do it with a few clicks of a button in the consolidations in Intacct. And all you need to do is you need to set up your books. So for example, here, if we look at North America, you just set up your book name, description. We're going to close this in US dollar, and what your net income and net asset accounts are going to be closed at. And then entities to consolidate, you can choose the entities here. So here we've chosen all the US companies as well as Canada. And then you create your allocations, consolidations, if there's any accounts to override, and then your elimination accounts will populate based on the entities that you choose. So once you've chosen that, when you run a consolidation, all you do is click run consolidation and pick the month that you want to consolidate, right? And here, so if you have different books, you want to run a consolidation for the global consolidation, so all the entities, or if you want to just to do the North American locations, you can do that as well. So you click that, click consolidate, and it would do the consolidation for you. And then there's also a history of all the consolidations. So there's an audit trail that you can that you can view, and it'll show you if there's exchange rates that were used. It'll show you all that information in here. And if it was successful or if it failed, you can see all that information here. So that's basically all I have. This is very high level. If there's specific modules that you'd like to see or would like more detail on, we can set up a separate demo time and maybe cater it more to your business and how it may be more relevant to you and your organization. And that's all I got.
Awesome.
Any
Thank you,
questions?
Mike.
No problem.
So anyone who has any questions, please, this is a live demo. Feel free to enter your questions into the webinar chat box. Take yourself off mute. Come speak to me.
Michael, there are a couple of questions in the Q&A box. I think it's just in a
Yep.
different spot in Zoom now.
Ah, okay.
They hit
So
it on you.
Carnissa actually put something in here. So if you drill
Oh,
down and you
perfect.
realize the entry is incorrect, can you show them how to correct it?
Yeah, definitely. Let me just share my screen again. Okay, so if you're going into reports, and let's just go into the P&L again, for example, for the summary. Okay, so if we drill down on this number here, for example, and we click on this transaction. So this is the source transaction here. If there was a mistake, we can simply go here and edit, click the edit button, and we can change whatever amount needs to be changed to correct that. So if it was a incorrect GL account, you can select what account that needs to go to, right? And then you save that, and then that gets reflected to the report.
Now, to build on that, Mike, are the reports public or private to the organization, and are they pre-built?
So there are a number of pre-built reports. So here there's 37 out of the box reports. And if there are specific reports that you don't want your users to see, you can go and edit, and in the permissions, you can either exclude them from the list or include them. So it's up to you who you want to see which reports.
Any other questions?
Once you, let's say you have to close a period,
Mhm.
you need to reopen it back up. Would that be an issue with Sage?
So if a period is closed, then you wouldn't be able to edit that. You'd have to open that period up again. But that's very easy. So if you have the permissions to be able to do that, to close a period, if you go to the GL close and say, I want to close, you can close all entities, or if you want specific entities, I'll just use USA one as an example. You can just come in here and say, I want to close month end December 2019. And now that's been closed for your GL, your cash management, APAR. But if you wanted to make a posting back into a closed period and you wanted to open that back up, easily just go in here, click open, select your entity, and select the period that you want to open. So if we wanted to open December 2019 again and say it's just AP that we wanted to open, we can open AP so that we can post an AP where AR, cash management, time and expense, that would still be closed. So long story short, as long as the period is open, you can edit that, but you won't be able to post to a closed period.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
There are no other questions. We'll end today's session. I'm sure most of us have calls
Oh,
with consultant. Oh,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead,
I have
please.
one
No.
more question.
Yes.
So we are a membership-based organization, and when we move monthly our credit card payments for like dues and such, sometimes there are, let's say, 30,000 plus lines. Would that be like a huge process to move them into Sage?
Nope. So if it's a bill that has 30,000 lines, or if it's a journal entry that has 30,000 lines, we have the ability to populate a CSV template, and we can just import that into Sage Intacct. So we would just download the template here if it was a journal entry, populate the template, and let me just grab a sample one that I have on my computer already. So it would look something like this here. So if we're importing like a opening balance, or if it's a general journal, you would put in your date, description, however many lines you have, which GL accounts are being affected. If you have a specific entity or a location you want that to be tagged to, and then your debits and credits. And if you have a memo, you can put the memo in. And if you want to take a project, an employee, or a class dimension, you also have the ability to do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, if there's no other questions, again, we'll go ahead and conclude today's session, and you probably have a discussion with a sales consultant like myself to further talk about Sage Intacct. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Mike, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks for your time, guys.